Good morning. Good morning. Hope all is well. Hope everyone's doing all right. Just trying to check out something real quick. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, let's go. So, good morning. Good morning. All right. So while I look up this real quick, anybody check out the Oscars last night? Check out the slap heard around the
Everybody
world.
talking about Will. I
Yeah, man. I
mean,
thought, huh?
with that whole thing, to me in the video, it just seemed like he was laughing. He was laughing at first, and
Uh-huh.
then when he saw Jada get upset, that's when
Right.
he started to do the most. And
Yeah.
I didn't get why it had. I'm not saying he was wrong for defending his wife, but I mean, it was just, I felt like it was too much. He's a
Yeah.
comedian.
Mhm.
Chris Rock is a comedian. Like, they
Exactly.
understand each other. And
Exactly.
he
And
was
they're
joking on
friends.
other people before.
Right,
But
right,
yeah,
right.
but that joke itself, it wasn't really tasteful. So,
Right. And yeah, you know she has a condition. I didn't know she had a
mhm.
condition until this. I think he should have met it with the same energy. Just he didn't I didn't think I had a problem with him going up there, but he should have just used words. Like it's okay to use words to combat words, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think the slap was kind of out of pocket. Yeah, well, yeah, it could have been done in private. Now, if you want to slap him in private, I guess that would be cool. But I think my whole
Nah,
thing
he
was,
probably Chris Rock probably would have got somebody to gang up on him if it was in private.
and
I
see,
mean,
my whole
I don't
thing is,
know.
yeah, yeah, and then on top of that, like, let's just take the word Chris off of it and let it be the Rock. Would you have still slapped the Rock? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, I
he
get what
wouldn't
you're
have,
saying.
yeah, he wouldn't have kept that same energy. He did that to somebody he knew he could have got away with it with.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I think he should have just said so. He could have easily walked up there and said, "Hey man, keep him, that's not cool. Keep him, in front of everybody."
Mhm.
But actually slapping him, I think that was and now he got all these positive videos and stuff like that, thank videos, stuff like now you looking at them just like, man, for real, like
I'm trying to figure out why he didn't do that to August and everybody else that made everything public about like
yeah,
not issues, but stuff going on with Jada, and he didn't say anything or do
yeah,
anything about it.
yeah.
But
Somebody,
I think it's just publicity stunt. Like, on not necessarily all publicity stunt, but I think he was egging it, like,
mm-hmm,
after the fact.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, because he was laughing. I saw it. I caught that clip. He was laughing at first. He
And
thought it
then
was
Jada
funny at
looked
first.
like, and I don't
Yeah,
know why they cut Jada off. Like, the whole joke was, the joke was about Jada. So if we would have seen how Jada would have, if Jada said something to Will or made some kind of expression, then that would have gave more context or whatever as to how or why he got that upset. But I mean, I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. Well,
I thought
she
Chris
most
handled
definitely.
himself well.
Oh yeah.
You must not be a fan of Will then.
Who,
But he
me?
did. No. The person
Oh,
in the
oh,
messages
yeah,
sent a
yeah.
message. But he did handle himself well. It's about business. Chris still got to get paid. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, because I was a fan of Will and Chris Rock, so I didn't have a beef with either one of them. I just think that Will
it was
could have. I
shocking.
mean, he'd have ate all this stuff that's been happening up to this point. Like you could have ate that one too. Like that won't. That was a
Right.
little benign compared to everything else that's been happening. But everybody got their breaking point. Maybe that was it. Maybe that was just the cherry on top. Like you're just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm slapping
Yeah.
everybody who come at me wrong. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was tough. Yeah,
They're gonna be the talk for like the next whole week, and then after that,
yeah,
probably not. It's
yeah,
gonna be something else.
it'll go on to something else. Yeah, yeah. I completely agree with that. I think if Chris Rock would have did more, then it would have, it would have been more something to talk about. But I think the fact that Chris didn't, Chris just took it with a smile. I think it'll
Hmm.
pretty much be gone in a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, because comedians, they, I mean, it's gonna happen. You gonna get somebody mad, and something's gonna happen. So it is like, oh, Well, a comedian deserves a slap one day, so I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, but
It's gonna happen.
he wouldn't have slapped Steve Harvey. He wouldn't have slapped Cedric the Entertainer. You know what I'm saying? Just like you did that because you could, man. Come on. You knew Chris Rock wasn't gonna do but so much. So
yeah, Chris Rock he's small. Like not, but I'm saying like compared to Will, I think it's really because he was like skinnier and shorter than him as to why he did that.
Yep, I completely agree. He knew he could get away with it. And one person even said on Twitter, it was like the fact that he slapped him and felt he could turn his back on him was even more disrespectful. He just walked away like, nah, I would have hit you with something. Like I would have hit you in the back or something. Like, hey, dog, you can't just.
I laughed at him when he walked away because he walked away like you know how pimps walk. Yeah. Like he walked away like with extra style and stuff.
Right. Like he did stuff. Like he did that. Yeah, man. Me and him would have had a problem after that. But Chris, I mean, he handled it right. But that's why Chris Rock was hosting the Oscars, because he knew how to handle himself as a professional. Right. You know what I mean? He showed why they chose him. You can't just put anybody, not that you expect to get slapped, but I'm just saying you can't just put anybody in that role. You know what I mean?
Got you.
All right. So let's go ahead and get to it. We closed out chapter 7 last class. So we're looking at starting chapter 8.
Did we finish point 5? We had finished point 5?
7.5? I think it only goes to 4. 7.4. Yep. I can check in the homework.
It might have been.
Yeah, I'll check in the homework to make sure. I ain't got no problem with that. I can be wrong just like the next man. I could be wrong as Will was wrong last night, Come on up. Here we go. 7.4. Yep. We got a 7.4.
Okay.
Yep. Somebody else said as well. Yep. So just 7.1 through 7.4. Yeah, I knew what you meant because somebody put in the chat 44. Yeah, we don't want 44 sections. So we are looking at 8 now. Chapter 8 is 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3. And I know last semester we only got to chapter 8 because so many people had so many questions and stuff. Do I want to go to 9 and 10? We'll talk about it. We'll see. If we don't go past chapter 8, then I will have to do some things to supplement the rest of the class. Like what I did for some classes, I sent videos where you would look at the video and you'll look at the video and then just give me 10 things you pulled from the video. So something easy. So that would be something that I would do weekly. I wouldn't do it for every class. Like maybe once a week, send a video out that you guys review on your own time. And the assignment would be to send me 10 things from the video and stuff like that. So if we close out at chapter 8 and I decide not to do any more new material, however many weeks we have left, then I would do that. And there will be videos on math topics or statistic topics that, you guys that, could pull from. Actually, people last semester thought the videos were great because it added meaning to certain things. So, so maybe
and this course goes all the way to the 3rd. Is it the 3rd or the 6th of May?
Let's see.
Sorry.
Are you fine? May 1st is the date that I have in math lab.
Oh.
It's April, May 1st. I think it's May 2nd, which is a Monday. I think that's the last day. I have to check. No, you know what? No, it's the 29th, which is that Friday. April 29th, if I'm not mistaken. Come on, calendar. And I believe I've given you guys the weekend. And then come Monday, I got to get grades in.
Oh, okay.
I believe that's how it is. Yeah. But yep. Okay, somebody said something in the chat. Thanks for answering my question because I was just about to ask. Okay. Yep. So I haven't decided if we're going all the way to 9 to 10. I would leave them up. So if anybody want to get extra credit, they could. If they want to boost their grade, chapter 9 and chapter 10 would be available. If I decide to stop at 8, I know we got plenty of time though. But we'll see. Let's look at how chapter 8 plays out for us. And what would also dictate that is how, how we're doing as a class as far as getting these assignments done and how close we are to, all that type of stuff. So, yep. So let's look at chapter 8, it's hypothesis testing. So I have to go to my notes on chapter 10. Hold on one second. Let me pull them up. Yeah, come on, pull up. Okay. I don't know why this came up like this, but it should be good enough. So ignore the 10.1, that's from another class section, but it's 8.1 for you guys, hypothesis testing. So we're looking at the language hypothesis testing first. So a hypothesis is a statement regarding a characteristic of one or more populations. And hypothesis testing is a procedure based on sample evidence and probability used to test statements regarding a characteristic of one or more populations. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned you guys already, but I'm going to email you guys anyway. Wednesday, we will not have class. I have to go out of town. So I will be shooting you guys an email just to remind you of that. And for those who are not here today. So we will not have class Wednesday. So we have 4 general steps in hypothesis testing, like if you were doing it from scratch. Of course, when we do our problems, they will give you certain amount of information. You'll see that when we get into it. But first, you want to make a statement regarding the nature of the population. Second, collect evidence, sample data to test the statement. All right. I said 4, I meant 3. All right, and then analyze the data to assess the plausibility of the statement. All right, anybody still copying this before I go to the next page? Oh, this one, let me scroll up. Everybody good? Everybody good? All right. So you're gonna have a null hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis. Your null hypothesis is denoted by H naught or H zero, depends on the terminology of that book. Normally it's H naught though. It's a statement to be tested. It's the statement of no change. I did leave off my E. There should be no change, no effect, or no difference, and is assumed true until evidence indicates otherwise. H1, your alternative hypothesis. Some you can either say H sub one. Some books even have HA, your alternative hypothesis. It's just a statement that we're trying to find evidence to support. It's alternative to the null hypothesis. All right. And the null hypothesis. Oh, I got to go to the next page. Okay. Give you guys a chance to finish. Oh, not a problem. This is all that's on this page, so I'll let you guys finish. All right. How we doing? Can we scroll up? Anybody still holding on? Holding on. Somebody just unmuted? Was that somebody? Okay. All right, so that means we're good. Okay. All right, so there are 3 tests for your hypothesis testing. You have your 2-tailed test, left-tailed test, one-tailed. I said one-tailed, right-tailed. Left-tailed and right-tailed are just one-tailed. But with your 2-tailed test, notice the main difference between that, your left-tailed and right-tailed. Let me put them all on the same. Is that, get my drawing, the symbol. Other than that, everything else is the same. Notice that this here is the same for all 3 of them. You have your H naught and H1. The parameter is going to be the same, and you'll see what I mean in a second. The value that you use is going to be the same. And equal sign is always going to be for your null hypothesis. That will always be equal. That will always be equal. So the only thing that's going to be different If you're dealing with two-tailed, you're gonna have not equal to. If it's left-tailed, it's gonna be a less than symbol. If it's right-tailed, it's gonna be a greater than symbol. And so keywords are gonna dictate which symbol we use. Of course, less than would let you know you need to use your less than symbol, which would be the left tail. Greater than, right tail. And then if it just says something that does not reference less than, does not reference greater than, it just says it's going to be different. That would be your two tail. And so you'll see in a second when we get to our examples. All right, can we scroll up? Everybody good? All right. So a few examples, just determining the null and alternative hypothesis and state whether it's two-tailed, left-tailed, or right-tailed. All right. So looking at the first one, the Medco pharmaceutical company has just developed a new antibiotic for children. 2% of children taking competing antibiotics experience headaches as a side effect. A researcher for the Food and Drug Administration wishes to know if the percentage of children taking the new antibiotic who experience headaches has a side effect is more than 2%. So I'll give you a chance to write it down for those who are writing, and then we'll look at how we can determine an alternative hypothesis. All right, so got the Medco pharmaceutical company has just developed a new antibiotic for children. 2% of children competing antibiotics experience headaches, side effect. Researcher and for the Food and Drug Administration wishes to know if the percentage of children taking the antibiotics who experience headaches has a side effect of more than 2%. So that 2% is going to be our value, and you would write it as a decimal. Your null hypothesis and your alternative hypothesis is always what goes right here, HO over H1. Always going to use your colon. Now we have a either you can call it a proportion or a percentage, but that's why we're using P right here. because that's all it is a percentage or proportion. You will see in the next examples when that would change, but it's based on what you're comparing. So we just have a proportion, or like I said, a percentage. So equal to 2%, and then we want to know more than 2%. So that's why it's greater than. That's your alternative. That's what you're trying to figure out. And because it's greater than, that means it's going to be right too. All right. Questions on that one before we go to the next one? Can I scroll up? Everybody okay? All right. So the next one, the Blue Book price of a used 3-year-old Chevy Corvette is $86,012. Grant wonders if the mean price of a used 3-year-old Chevy Corvette in Miami is different from 86,012. All right, so once again, this part is the same, H naught colon, H1 colon. Now, because we have mean, that's why we're using the symbol mean here, because we're talking about the mean. This is always equal, and we're talking about 86,012. And then we want to know, is it going to be different? It could be less than, it could be greater than. We don't know. We're just talking about, is it going to be different? So that's why we're using the or equal to sign. And if we use or equal to, that means it's two-tailed. All right. Any questions? Any questions on that? All right. One more like this. Gonna scroll up. So standard deviation of the contents of a 64-ounce bottle of detergent using an old filling machine is 0.23 ounces. The manufacturer wants to know if the filling machine has less variability. All right, so once again, this part is the same. It's always going to be the same. Now we're using here the standard deviation symbol because it mentions that this is our standard deviation that we're talking about. Once this, again, that's going to always be equal. And we're talking about 0.23 and less. So we're looking at less than at 0.23. And since it's less, we're going to use the less than symbol, and it's going to be left tailed. All right. Any questions? Can I scroll up? Got it good. All right. So there are 4 outcomes that could occur. So first one is reject the null hypothesis when the alternative hypothesis is true. So that's correct. Do not reject the null hypothesis when the null hypothesis is true. That's also a correct conclusion. The other 2 are incorrect conclusions. So you could reject the null hypothesis when the null hypothesis is true. And so that's the type 1 error. Or you do not reject the null hypothesis when the alternative hypothesis is true. And that's a type 2 error. Scrolling up, scrolling up. Let me know if I go too far. All right, so that also takes us to our level of significance, which is denoted by Greek letter alpha. That's the probability of making a type 1 error. All right, are we good? Can we go to the next page? All right. So you guys already copied this. We're starting right here at alpha and beta. So we already mentioned alpha is the probability of making a type 1 error. Beta, Greek letter beta, is the probability of making a type 2 error. So we kind of starting right here. So the probability of making a type 1 error is chosen by the researcher before the sample data are collected. The choice of the level of significance alpha depends on the consequences of making a type 1 error. So if the consequences are yeah, I said 11. So if the consequences are severe, alpha should be small, which is 0.01. In our problems, they're actually going to give us alpha, but they're talking about from scratch your mindset as to how you would choose, your alpha. What would dictate why you would choose alpha to be whatever it is you choose it to be. If the consequences are not severe, a higher alpha can be chosen. So that 0.05 or 0.1 are considered higher alphas. And scroll up, scroll up. All right, level of significance is not always set at 0.01, which is the smallest one, because reducing alpha increases the probability of beta. They have an inverse relationship. As one goes up, the other one goes down. All right, so that's in this, that set of notes. Everybody good? Before I go to another page. All right. See, okay, that is the next section. Let me make sure here. 8.2 is going through problems. Okay, so we're gonna do this. So I'm gonna send you this sheet right here, which is your hypothesis testing summed up, give you your steps and everything. And so I want you guys to be able to have this when we actually walk through the problems. So that's what we're going to do. That's the next section. And then we'll be looking at, closing out chapter 8. So next class, we're going to walk through these steps. So we set the foundation as far as what hypothesis testing is, and labeling different things. What I was looking at earlier when we were talking about the slap that was heard around the world was where we are as a class. And so, and there's no real rush. So what we're going to do is next class, we're going to walk through the hypothesis testing. I'm going to send you this doc. So, if you want to look over it or try it yourself before we actually go into the class, then, you can do so. But next class, we'll walk through these steps and actually walk through hypothesis testing, looking at some examples coming out of your coming out of math lab. All right. So before we close out today, are there any questions on anything? Once again, we will not meet on Wednesday, so you have a whole week to get caught up if you need to get caught up, and put yourself in position to be ready to knock out, chapter 8, or ask questions about some questions that were generated over the weekend. All right. So, questions, concerns, comments before we close out? Is everybody good? Everybody straight? Okay. All right. So, like I said, I will see you next Monday. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe and take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
one. Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Have a good one.